The views expressed on this program are not those of intellectualradio.com, its subsidiaries, or sponsors. Encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady ReShell.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It is Health and Wellness Monday, and our topic for today is navigating the challenges of a long-distance relationship. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from the Drive FI with Roman. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, I spoke with Dr. Rhodes and we talked about discovering purpose through pain. You can head on over to YouTube and type in Intellectual Radio and stay connected for any episodes that you may have missed. Our quote of the day is coming from Maya Angelou, and she says, "Love recognizes no barriers. It jumps hurdles, leaps fences, penetrates walls to arrive at its destination full of hope." And here is your trending topic for today. In Rushville, Illinois, 5 people, including 3 children, were killed today after a school bus and a semi-truck collided on a highway in western Illinois. The bus was traveling east on Illinois Route 24 when it crossed the center line into the westbound lanes and the path of the semi-truck. Both vehicles were set ablaze in a crash. The crash happened about noon in Rushville, in a community about 3,000, about 60 miles west of Springfield. 4 people in the truck and in the bus that was killed. You had the driver and 3 children, and also the semi-truck driver was killed. The cause of the crash remains under investigation, and the names of the victims have not been released. That is your trending topic for today. We are excited for our co-host who's joining us today. We haven't seen him in a minute. We have the cancer activist, the motivational speaker, and the founder of the Gal Foundation, Rizal Gilmore, aka The Biz.
Good evening, Miss Earl. Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm feeling better. Yes, it has been a minute. We're already 3 months into the new year, and this is our first show together. But God had some other plans for me. He told me to take a rest, and I had to do what the master called for. But I'm happy to be back. You never know how much you miss these little things. Having a show once a month every. I really truly missed it. So I'm definitely ready to dive back into it and start this year off.
Yes, well, we missed you too, so I'm glad you're here, you're better, and you already know that Relationship Mondays is always going to be great conversation. And today we're going to be talking about navigating long-distance relationships. We know that when you're in a long-distance relationship, there may be some challenges. Everything may not go as smooth as we think that it will go. So we're going to talk about that, and hopefully individuals will walk away with something that they can use if you're in a long distance relationship.
Very true.
I want to talk about some stats really quick. It says 14 million couples define themselves as having a long distance relationship in the US, and around 3.75 million couples are in long distance relationships. And 10% of all marriages actually started with long distance relationships.
Wow.
I thought that was interesting.
That's a good stat right there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. How do you navigate or understand first of all, have you ever been in a long distance relationship?
I have, and it's funny, I was about to ask you the same question. I was in a long distance relationship. Actually, I tried it a couple times. Being in a long distance relationship is one of the hardest things ever. I never want to do it again, but I also understand you never know where you're going to find love. You may have to wait it out and deal with it for a certain amount of time, but it is definitely hard.
I totally agree. I think it takes a certain type of person or persons to be able to be in a long distance relationship. I'm one of those people, like, I prefer to have my person there, but then there are times that I'd be like, "Ooh, I'm glad person is not here," because, I'd be wanting that just to have that time to myself and not really have to worry about anybody else. It's just me, my girls. So I don't know. I guess it depends on the person. Hey, Kenya. Yeah, I guess it depends on the person and what you have going on in your life. Because like right now, sometimes my world is so busy that I feel like I don't even have time for it.
Right. I can understand. I definitely can understand that. And there's so many ways that you can approach this when talking about this subject because there's so many pieces to the puzzle when it really comes down to it. It's it's harder than hard, and I can only speak for myself and from experience. And like you said, it depends on the individual. It's like, when do you have time to see that person, and when do you have time to miss that person? And I think it's probably more missing of that person than seeing that person, especially if it's a long distant relationship. So, you're kind of yearning for that person to be here. For me, it was activities, it was things to do, it was nights, that I wanted to be out. I was doing this. They can't taste the food that I'm cooking. They can't smell the new cologne that I just bought, and I have to wait till whenever that time permits for those things to happen. So, like I said, for me, it was definitely hard. But I know there's a lot of people out there who is doing it. Um, I never want to do it again. But living in the state that I'm living in, I could live in the same state as the person and still be in a long distance relationship because it's just that big. It's ridiculous, but yeah.
I feel like with social media and everything going on and people meeting individuals online, that long distance relationships there's more of them now since we have social media than we would be back in the day, meeting somebody and they living in another state and we have to call them on the phone. We have so many things and so many ways that we can communicate with that person versus just being on the phone. So I feel like with those tools that we have, it could possibly help make the relationship last. That's just my opinion.
I have, and they are making it easier. I think there's an app now, like if you are in a long distance relationship, where you can have like date night on your phone. You two can watch a movie together or be at dinner or whatever together. The person is in wherever they are, and you are where you are, and you're FaceTiming and all these different things. So, I mean, if people are willing to stick it out like that, by all means, I'm not against it. This is a new era. This is a new generation, new age. Technology is definitely taking over. It's, you know, supposed to make things easier, but at the same time, I still say it's not giving us common sense along the way with some of the new technology. But I mean, to each his own. I mean, if you find love that way, hey, I'm not against it. Just make sure you love the person who you're with.
Do you feel like it's easier for people to have more than one relationship with like somebody in town, somebody out of town, with all of the technology that we have now? Because it's easy just to be like, I can talk to you later when I'm at home because I'm at work or I'm out, and you can like maintain two different relationships. And you may see that person that's out of town maybe twice a year, if that, depending on how far they live.
Yeah, absolutely. If I only see you twice a year, we're not in a relationship. We just acquaintances. We're just friends, hoping that it'll go right one day for us. If it is, yeah, twice a year, nah, that can't. That means once every 6 months. Or look, you may shoot your shot all in 1 month. I may see you twice in the same month, and then boom, it's over. I got to wait a whole nother 11 months, almost a year. Nah, see, this is what I'm talking about. It can't happen. But to answer your question, yes, I do think because the relationship that you have in town, I do believe is filling the void for the person who is out of town because you're wishing that person was there. So you find somebody else who can pick up those pieces, that slack, and, until whenever that person gets there, if that's the person who you truly want to be with.
And think about that's true. I think about the hard work that it takes to have a relationship with the person right there. Like how complicated sometimes people make it. And then you try to do this with somebody that's long distance, like how much work that you would have to actually put into that relationship. I feel like it could be even less because like even the little things that you do, that person would probably be like happy and glad because they're far away anyway. Not much that they can do.
Yeah. Um, I mean, some relate, they may be okay with it. I mean, there has to be a boundary of some type of understanding. Hey, I know I'm not there. You're going out, you're going to have a good time, and the idea is to go out and have a good time. You may meet somebody, at the event or something that you're going to. I mean, having a long distance relationship is really rolling the dice because there's a lot of trust that's put into this. And you must classify if it is a relationship, a committed relationship or not, or we just saying we together and, really, what is it? What are we doing?
I totally agree. I think that goes in with the communication breakdown.
Hmm.
What is this? And if we choose to have a relationship that's long distance, how can we make this successful? What are some things that we can do that we can put in place to make sure that we're in sync with each other, even though we're miles apart?
I mean, there has to be like, it's only but so many phone calls and FaceTimes that you're going to do. Like you're going to get tired, like, oh my God, they're calling again, what is it this time? You may get tired of all of that. Like, look, where's this person? Where's my king? Where's my queen at? When are you coming? When?
Okay, so there are different types of long distance relationship. So it could be a person that you met online and you never saw them like physically, right? It could be
Mhm.
somebody that maybe you ran into at a party, but they lived out of town. So you saw them, but y'all never really had a relationship, but y'all trying to try a relationship. Or it could be somebody that maybe you dated or you were married to or whatever, and then for some reason they moved out of town, but then y'all trying to rekindle the relationship. So it could be different, you know, aspects of the relationship on how you want to put it together. So I guess it depends on how you met that person and where you are in that relationship.
Right. I mean, I understand there's a lot because, especially during COVID times, there was nothing but online. I think that sparked the whole thing of online dating and finding somebody because you couldn't go nowhere. So you had no choice but to stay home and, swipe left, swipe right, or however, to find somebody.
Well, Kenya, please don't text and drive. You can always call Kenya. If you want to call, the number is 708-223-8953, but don't text and drive, please. Kenya said, I think a long distance relationship can work, and both of you guys are flying into eventually to be together in one central location. Yes. And, and you have to be intentional. I think you have to be intentional about when we're going to see each other. How often are we going to see each other? And that comes with that communication breakdown. How we're going to make this relationship work due to us not having this face to face interaction with each other or physical interaction with each other.
Right. And if that person is the one, this time that we are long distance is to give us time to see how long it's going to take us to bring us into one central location. Like Kenya said, how long is it going to take for us to actually be together? Or are we really just going to be touch and go and you're out of town and I've talked to you here and talked to you there, and I'm saying, ooh, that's my boo, that's my baby, yeah, and they out of town calling shot. It's yeah, the dynamics of the relationship really need to be set. Are you able to talk to other people? Are you able to do certain things? Should you be doing other certain things while waiting for this individual to be there in your life? Because you don't get to the point where you grow apart because y'all wasn't together.
I guess that's where you have to make sure that you're staying in contact with the person and make sure that again you both are on the same page. Okay, is this define what this is? Is this a relationship, or are we just talking and getting to know each other? Like where are we in that process, so that we know how to move forward versus one person assuming and they over here all in love and the other person just out having a good time and partying and doing whatever they want to do. Like up front, establish what it is up front. If you just met this person, then you already know this is like the talking phase.
Definitely. And you may be talking for like a year because until you're actually in that individual's presence, you're still not going to know them. You're still not going to know. Um, it could be body hygiene. It could be things they do at night before going to bed that you may not like. They may um, not like ice in a drink or something. And you're not going to know these things until you're actually out and about with one another, whether it's or you're on a date or just you're in town.
So you don't think that it's possible for you to get to know that person, even though if y'all communicating every day, like by phone or FaceTime or however, Zoom, you don't think it's possible to get
I
to know
don't
that?
think that it's I don't think that it's possible to know that person completely by phone, Zoom, text, or whatever the case. Being in the presence, I'm able to look into your eyes. I'm able to get body language. I'm able to see how you moving with other individuals. Whether it's your friends. I'm I'm seeing how you are in public. Can you hold a conversation? Really? Are you, if you're not looking up at the ceiling, we're not because we're not on the phone anymore. We're here now. Are you a touchy feeling type of person? Like all these different things I can't get from, just being on the phone.
Kenya said people put up a facade.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do. Some do.
they do
Ones
that.
who aren't intentional.
Yeah, I mean they do that living in the same city as you. You got to figure them out. You meet the representative first and see, okay, date them a while and then see 60 days from now how they act. Are they acting the same way? Are they treating you the same way?
Hmm.
I agree that I would have to be in someone's presence because, like, I look at stuff like the hygiene, like the nails, you know, the face, the teeth. Like, I look at all of that, and somebody could just clean up for one day and come out the house, and you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So I think it is important to have some quality time around that person to see, how they really carry themselves. And Kenya said, Dr. Joe.
And Mr. Hyde.
That is true. What about trust issues? Because if you're in a long distance relationship, there are bound to be some type of trust issues. Like how are you building trust with that person and they so far away? Is it possible?
I think that depends on what your boundaries are. Basically, what you're going to tolerate and what you're not going to tolerate when it comes to this. Because if you're in a long distance relationship, that's the first thing that's at the top of the list. Can I trust you? Or how do I trust you? Knowing I'm like this and you're over there. I don't know how you're moving. I don't know because I can't see you. I can't interact with you every day. So I have to trust that you're doing the right thing when it comes down to our quote unquote our long distance relationship. So yeah, that's trust is definitely there's going to be some issues coming up because you could hit me up one night where I'm out and about and you wondering where I'm at or what I'm doing, or you hear all this noise and hey, you didn't say you were going here or going there. Oh, you're out to dinner. It looked like a date to me. And no, it's not a date. I'm just picking it up. Look, it's just so many trust issues. You really have to find a person who is going to be level headed and understanding when it comes to these things because we're both in a situation. But if I'm saying that I'm here for you, then you have to trust me on that.
Kenya said you could have trust issues and they live in the same city. That's
Right?
true. That's
Correct.
true.
You could be in a relationship with the person live right next door and still have trust issues.
Do you feel like I mean, with any type of trust, it's not given, it's earned. So with them putting in the time, they're communicating, they're being consistent with each other, like they should be able to build some type of trust, even if that person lives far away.
Right. Something should come about along the way, especially in your getting to know each other phase. Like, okay, he said he's this or she said she's that. That sounds good. Let's put a check there as, no issue there. They're at work all the time. That's good. They're taking it. So let's put a check there. They're with the kids all the time. They're going to the park. They're where are they are where they say they are. So check. So some things may start to come off the list, but you're still looking for those red flags.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I feel like it's almost like you're setting yourself up for failure. Like I want to be, especially like I don't know how a married person would do the long distance unless they're like, or maybe on a movie set and they have to be away for a couple of months at a time, something like that, maybe. But us just living apart intentionally, like why? I don't even really see the point in it. At some point, I'm gonna be like, either we're gonna figure out how we're gonna bring this together, or let's just remain friends and go our separate ways.
But the question is it that bad that you can't find somebody in your city? And like I said, you never know where you're going to find love. I look at some of these shows. I forgot they come on like TLC, and where the women they live in a total different country, and then there's a language barrier and everything. And these guys are going and they're trying to meet up and hook up with these women way over there. I'm
The
like, well, you
passports are
could have probably just went a couple states over, and find the same thing, especially like California, the major cities where these women are.
they're called the passport bros. That's what they call themselves. They say they say that those women are more submissive than the women over here in the U.S. So they go over there and get some women. But I've heard that they were actually some of those men were coming up missing over there too. Like the women will lure them and then you know end up taking their money and you don't see them again.
Well, that's a lot of the countries, actually. I mean, because those countries are so poor and desolate that they're desperate. They'll do anything they will scam you. And like you said, get you over there, take your money and go through your bank account and off you in a second just to try to stay above water or get ahead or they ain't looking for love. They're looking they're looking for the next big scam. How can I get this money? So you got to be way careful. I would never date anybody outside the country.
Mm. Nope. I want to play this video, and this is from I don't know if you watch Cruise Season. They on Facebook. They on Facebook and on YouTube. I normally watch them on YouTube. It's four guys that talk about different relationship issues, and they always have some interesting conversation.
Yep.
I don't believe in them. I need to be able to pull up on my old lady. I need to be able to touch my old lady. I need to be able to squeeze her. Like whenever I just want to be around her, I need to be able to do that. And when you in a long distance situation, that's just not possible. Like everything has to be planned, everything has to be scheduled. And that's just not healthy, in my opinion, in terms of how, like when you're really in love with somebody and you really infatuated with somebody, like spending a lot of time away from them is just not what you want to do. And that opens the door for your mind to start playing tricks on you. So now all of a sudden missed calls start mattering way more. Missed text messages start mattering way more because you're so far away and you don't know what's going on, like, and you just feel like that person is going to be way more empowered to just wild out and start acting a fool. So, I think it's possible, but I also think hitting the lottery is possible.
I like that. I like that. He was right. He was right on with everything what he said.
Yeah, I feel that way. I feel the person should be here. I can understand if maybe it's for like a certain length of time. Maybe they're out of town for a job for maybe a couple of months or so. But longer than that, it's like I start to lose interest. It's like, no, why?
Yeah. There may times I may come in and have a bad day, and there's nobody here to encourage me, rub my back and, tell me things or just talk to that person about it. Sure, we can talk on the phone, but still just having that person, that presence there is definitely a lot more than being on the phone and so forth and so forth.
Especially if they're in a different time zone and then they're sleeping where you woke and you're like, oh, like you said, I got something I want to tell them, and then you can't. You gotta wait. You gotta wait, or either wake them up, and it's like, oh, I don't want to be rude and wake them up. So then they end up missing out on that moment that you had, and then you end up calling somebody else and sharing that moment with somebody else.
Yeah,
Not
you start pouring into an
guy, but sharing it with somebody else.
Yeah, you begin to start pouring into someone else because that person is there for you and they're pouring into you now. So you're now building up trust with that other person. Their opinion See, women don't understand how when a man asks for your opinion, how much flattering that is for you. That means you are doing a lot for this man or to this man for him to ask your opinion. So I got to wait till 3 o'clock in the morning to talk to you because you're on a different time zone. More than likely, I'm going to be asleep and I'm going to wait till about 7 o'clock when I wake up on the Eastern time when the other person wakes up at the same time that I can go see.
Okay. So fall into that is setting realistic expectations for the relationship. How do you set realistic expectation with somebody who is so many miles away? I feel like you really can't. If I can't see you, I don't have a handle on you. And not that you want to control somebody, but it's just easier when that person is in with eyesight of you for you to have expectations that you want them to follow or live up to.
Yeah, you can't come in being the wife and we only seen each other one time and we just been talking on the phone and you jumping in telling you gonna handle situations and this and that. Whoa, whoa, so pump your brakes, buttercup. I don't need you to do all of that for me. I'm going to handle whatever I need to handle. But definitely realistic. What is it that you want from me? What do you expect from me? What do you expect from what we are doing or the direction that we're going? That's what I need to know. Now the man should lead and, tell the person, but you got to be accepting of that. If it's not meant to be, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to be. At least y'all could be great friends.
What does that say about all of the people who are out here in long distance relationships that are making it? They're making it last. They're happy. They're excited about their partner. They're
Do
putting
you
forth the effort.
do you really think they happy, or do you think they just doing what they need to do to get by?
But I think they happy. I think there are some genuine people that are in long distance relationships that are happy.
I bet you that number that you stated early in the show, if we really sat down and interviewed any one of them, that number would drop significantly. That number would be chopped in half by about 75%. And I think only maybe about 15% of those people will truly make it with the long distance relationship.
Well, they say 40% of long distance relationship ends up in a breakup.
I think it's higher than that. When was this taken? This must have been like 2017 or something. This must have been way back.
I don't think you're giving people enough credit. I know of people in long distance relationship. I think whatever you put into any relationship is what you're going to get out of it, whether they're sitting in front of you or whether they're miles away. I really don't think. I think people are so needy. We're so needy and demanding of other people's time, and with the unrealistic expectations, we want people to perform a certain way, and then when they don't, we get upset because we didn't communicate to them what we wanted exactly. So I feel like if you put into the relationship what you want and you let that person know what it is that you want with the communication, effective communication, I think it could last. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. I think we lost Rizal. He looked like he's frozen. So they do say 40% of long distance relationship ends up in breakup. And I think that has to do with if you're a person that don't have the money or the means to go back and forth to see a person and you put in place like, oh, we're going to see each other once a month or every 3 months, and you got to buy your plane tickets, that costs, and you may not have the money to do that. And then if things are going on in your city, if it's summertime, there's so many different festivals going on, concerts, and you want to get out. People are going out as couples and they want to invite you, and you're like, I got a boyfriend, but he lives in, another city, and they like another state. They're like, oh, will you come? We'll hook you up with somebody. You actually have to have, if you want to be with that person that lives in the other state, then you're going to have to create some type of discipline and say, and also set boundaries with people to respect your relationship, even though they may feel like it's not a real relationship because this person lives out of town. You have to be spontaneous with your partner. And I wouldn't say pop up on your partner, but, plan a trip and be like, hey, I see that some flights are on sale cheap. I can be there next weekend, let's do, I could be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and, like a quick trip. And instead of like just relying on the communication with the phones or FaceTime, like I said, I'm the type of person that I like for my person to be within reach of me, and not because I'm needy, but with my love language, quality time is at the top of the list. And so I feel like for me, quality time is you being there. Yeah, it's quality time on the phone. I can only take so much of being on the phone with quality time. I'd rather have my person there in person where I can reach them, I can touch them, I can get a sense of like how they're feeling. Are they feeling me? I want my person to be there. So I do think long distance relationship can work. I just feel like for some it may be too much work if you're not setting those expectations in place and those boundaries in place of, okay, plan visits for your partners, just making sure that you're keeping each other engaged. Like, how do you keep each other engaged? What are some things that you're doing? I heard this one couple say that they put like a spending limit every month for each person in the relationship, and then once a month they would send each other gifts. So it'd be $50, $25. And so you can send the person flowers, you can send them candies, send them their favorite book, like just different things that will surprise them every single month so that you can kind of spice it up and keep the relationship going. But I heard the one guy, I don't know if you guys listen to Tony Gaskins, he talked about not sending nudes in the long distance relationship, because like if you break up, then that person gonna be, people show other people your nudes and your pictures. So he talked about like if you're in a long distance relationship, stay away from sending people nude pictures. Don't do that, right? You can send them a headshot, a full body shot, but nothing nude, because if you break up, it can be used against you. Hey, Vaughn. Oh, Vaughn is tuning in. Finally, you should be on the show. You need to call in. Vaughn says, people know what to expect out of long distance relationships. When you are young, you may be naive. The older you get, you know what you're getting and act accordingly. Wow. Okay. You know what? I can see that people being young and you think like, oh, this is, I think when you're younger, you feel like, oh man, this is exciting. I got this person out of town, they're flying me in, they're coming here. I think it's like the excitement of it all. Yeah. And I do believe the older you get, you're like, okay, this may work. This may not work, so in your mind, you have a I don't want to say an exit plan, but in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, this may not work, so I'm not going to put all my eggs in this one basket. So yeah, I totally get that. You should be on the show, though, Vaughn. Number 6 is engaged in shared activities. How do you do shared activities? Well, Rizal already mentioned having the app where you can actually go out on a date, and then you have that person to where you eating dinner and that person is right there with you eating dinner. You guys can watch a movie, you guys can sit and read a book. There's different things that you can do as far as shared activities are concerned, but I feel like you have to be, again, intentional about the relationship, intentional about, let's put in place that we're going to call each other every morning and we're going to call each other every night before we go to sleep. And then we can text throughout the day. Those things are going to take you being intentional about really keeping up with doing it. Because if you miss a day or two, then it gets easier to keep missing days. And before you know it, like, oh, I didn't talk to him in a week. So you have to be intentional about if this is something you want to do. Here is all.
Hey, sorry, I'm back. I have no idea what happened.
Just say you didn't want to be a part of the conversation. I was like, wow.
I guess this was like long distance Wi-Fi.
Okay. We have another guy on the show. I guess since you left, he jumped in and was giving his opinion. So Vaughn says, I wouldn't say about it not working, but different things work for different people in the stages of life they're at. That's true.
Sure. I can agree with that.
I agree. I totally agree. I feel like maybe me being younger, like I said, it would have been exciting for me to be like, yeah, I have this guy out of town, he's flying me in and he's coming here. Like, that would be exciting to me. Right now, it's just like, I don't have the energy.
I remember back then, women just loved to be flued out. Does it go? Flued out. Yeah, flued out. He gonna fly me out. hmm So, but now that becomes expensive because I want to see you. I got to fly you out every single time. Mm-mm.
It does.
Nope.
It becomes expensive. So how do you feel, Rizal, about like daily check-ins with that person? Like setting like a schedule to say you guys are going to check in every morning and every night before you go to sleep, just to make sure that you're communicating every single day.
I can agree with that.
Is that excessive though?
No, I don't think that's excessive. Because you're, basically, hey, I'm going to start my day with you and I'm going to end my night with you. I think that's a wonderful thing. I mean, even with not being long distance, I think that should be done. And maybe even during lunchtime, hey, how's your day going? Just to check in. I don't think that's excessive at all. I think that's really putting forth the effort, and you're trying to show that interest, and especially if you're doing that, then you two individuals you're trying to make it last. You're trying to make it work. Yeah, keep me relevant.
What do you think are some of the myths that comes with long distance relationships that you have heard that you know that are not true?
They don't work. Well, they out there doing A, B, and C, and your friends will definitely start putting stuff in your head, and now you going crazy and you starting to come up with this whole myth stuff in your head that's not even true, and you ready to beat the person up. Just a whole bunch of different things.
Do you think jealousy plays a role? Like, this person is here and you're out, you're hanging out, you're having fun, and you're like, what are they doing? And you projecting on them what you're doing.
I don't think too much jealousy, because if that's my life, I'm showing you, my life. This is what I do. I'm out and about, tonight, this evening. Wish you could be here, but you're not here. So this is why we need to work on you being here, you being closer so you can enjoy these wonderful nights as well. But I'm not going to stop being me or stop my show just because you're having jealousy or possible insecurity. Like, hey, you're on camera you see what's happening, you see what's going on. I'm going out tonight. I can't stop my life. You're way over there. Ain't like you're home. It'll be a different story if you was home.
Hey, Jakina. Vaughn said, first of all, he can't let you get away with flued out. It's flown out, but you're correct.
That's why I said it twice. I don't know where they got the flued out thing from, but yeah, flued out. I know it's flown out, but yeah.
So I think we kind of mentioned this to make the distance temporary. Like, should we be setting a deadline to how long this distance thing is going to be?
Even if we set a deadline, things don't always go as planned. We might have been dating in a long distance for a year and said, okay, next year, this is going to be the time frame. Something within that time could have happened. And now it's going to be 2 years. So now we in a 3-year long distance relationship. You just never know. I don't think setting time, we can try, but I think when it happens, hopefully sooner than later.
One of the myths that they said that they've heard is after you close the distance with that person and you're finally together, then the magic appears.
Yeah, I mean, because it's been so long. It's like now I finally get that chance to share so much with this person that's been missing, who's just been that shadow on the phone, but you're actually here now. So I can take you to my favorite restaurant. I could take you to these shows and to these events and everything that I was doing prior hand when you were not able to be here physically. You had to see them from afar and live them through pictures or text messages or video. So yeah.
Another one is if it's meant to be, then the long distance would be easy and not hard.
If it's meant to be, period, it will be. It ain't got to be easy, hard. If it's meant to be, if it's in God's plan, it's going to be. What's for you is for you. And what's not, it'll eventually fall to the side.
It says long distance couples don't argue.
I don't know about that one. There's always some disagreements and arguments and debates going on, whether you're long distance, whether you're right here. So I don't know if I agree with that one.
What about the distance should not bother you because it's worth it?
Distance is going to bother me. That's why we're talking about this now, because if distance wasn't a problem, all these people who had them problems beforehand that broke it off, they had problems. So there's problems.
What kind of, wait a minute, Vaughn is commenting again. He says, I think long distance will always be hard, whether it's meant to be or not.
Yep, we said that. Yep.
That's true. I think long distance relationships are, to me, are kind of more exciting than the relationships that are here because it's almost like you're selling each other a dream. You know how the person that's in jail and the woman goes to see the guy in jail and he writes her and tell her all of these things that's going to happen when he gets out of jail. And, you're just so excited and you can't wait for him to get out of jail. Not that that has happened to me. Because once you go to jail, I'm not waiting.
But you know what? That's another good one. Would you wait for somebody that's in jail? I know people who's doing it now, and I just can't understand it. That's kind of like a long distance relationship, and you can go see them, but you don't get that touch and feel. Yeah, depending on how much time they got.
I'm not waiting. I'm sorry. I'm not. Especially if you did something that you knew you didn't have any business doing, I'm not waiting for you. Why?
Yeah, when that judge drops the hammer, the judge just broke us up. That's all.
You want to hear something funny? Since we're going to wrapping up the show, hear something funny. So when I was younger in my 20s, like early 20s, I was dating this guy. I was dating two guys, right? One guy was in jail. I didn't know the other guy went to jail. He went to jail on some tickets. And I didn't know the other guy was in jail. So I sent the one guy some pictures in jail. So both of them just happened to be in the same area. And he was
your luck.
Remember I said, don't show pictures. Don't give people pictures because they show other people. So don't do that. And so he showed the other guy the pictures. And the other guy called me like, oh, you wrong for that. You sending pictures too, oh boy. I was like, what? I was like, oh my God. Like, what are the odds of both of them being in the same jail? So I was like, oh, no, I'm not waiting for nobody. I'm not putting no money on your books. I'm not sending you no pictures. None of that.
Wow, that right there was like, what was that, like 1 in 500? Like how they end up in the same jail, knowing the same person. Wow.
Wow. Like, why did you show my picture first of all? Like, oh my God.
Oh, come on, Rochelle. You know, they were showing you off.
I'm glad it wasn't like dirty pictures, but still, like, so don't do the pictures. Don't send it. You send headshots. That's it. Just wait until y'all get and with each other, then you can take the pictures, but not dirty pictures. All right, Rizal, we're wrapping this up. Give us some words of wisdoms about long distance relationship and how to navigate through them, if you even should.
Well, you already know my stance on it, but for people who are out there doing it, know what you're getting yourself into before you go the distance with a person.
I totally agree. I feel like you should be honest with yourself if this is something that you really want to do. And don't waste your time. Life is too short to waste your time on a fantasy, something that won't happen. But if you find someone and your souls connect and you want to put that time in, even if they live a distance, then I say do what your soul says. All right, y'all, that's it. It's a wrap. Thank you guys for tuning in to Warriors Talk. You done, Rizal? You like you about to say something?
I'm just getting back into the groove of things.
I'm glad that you're back.
I am totally glad to be back. It makes me definitely, you want to live more. You look at different situations. I look at different situations now. Got to get rid of the stress. As much as we say it here on this show, I have to relieve myself of the stress. So yes, I'm laid back, just taking it easy.
Yes. Good. Well, join me next Monday right here at 6 p.m. on Intellectual Radio. As always, thank you for tuning in to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell. Co-hosting is Rizal Gilmore, a.k.a. The Biz.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. To find out more about Warriors Talk, follow at Warriors Talk, the #1 on all social media outlets, and Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell on YouTube. Please join us next week and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on intellectualradio.com for Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell, where we encourage, educate, and empower you into action.